Welcome back to ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today, we will learn about the issue of 5 absolutely explosive storylines that are about to shake Port Charles to its very foundation this December. The drama is reaching fever pitch as multiple characters find themselves on collision courses with destiny, and the fallout promises to be nothing short of spectacular. Buckle up, because what's coming will leave viewers gasping at their screens. Jack Brennan's world crumbles. Jack Brennan has always prided himself on maintaining control over even the most chaotic situations, but December brings a crisis that threatens to unravel everything he's carefully constructed. The root of this catastrophe traces directly back to Valentin Casadin's daring prison escape, an event that has sent shockwaves through Port Charles's power structures. Valentin's freedom isn't just a simple jailbreak, it represents a calculated move that could expose Brennan's carefully hidden machinations and destroy the carefully balanced house of cards he's been building for months. But here's where things get truly explosive. Brennan has severely underestimated the fury of a protective mother. Carly has discovered the unthinkable truth about Brennan's covert recruitment of her beloved daughter Jocelyn Jacks into the dangerous world of the WSB. This isn't just any secret, it's a betrayal that cuts to the very heart of what Carly holds most sacred. Imagine Carly's rage when she pieced together the clues, realizing that this man had deliberately put her daughter in harm's way without her knowledge or consent. The woman who has faced down mobsters, survived countless near-death experiences, and protected her family with the ferocity of a lioness now has Brennan squarely in her crosshairs. What makes this situation even more delicious is Carly's strategic alliance with none other than Valentin himself. These two powerhouses joining forces creates an unstoppable combination of cunning, resources, and sheer determination. Valentin brings his international connections and tactical brilliance, while Carly contributes her intimate knowledge of Port Charles's power players and her relentless drive for justice. Together, they're orchestrating Brennan's downfall with surgical precision, and the man remains blissfully unaware that his entire world is about to implode around him. The confrontation brewing between Carly and Brennan promises to be one of the most dramatic showdowns Port Charles has witnessed in years. Sonny's startling revelation. Meanwhile, Sonny Corinthos is about to receive information that will fundamentally alter his understanding of recent events. Kevin Collins finds himself in the uncomfortable position of becoming the messenger, tasked with delivering news that will undoubtedly shake the legendary mob boss to his core. The situation stems from Laura Collins' decision to share crucial updates with her husband regarding the increasingly complex situation involving Professor Henry Hank Dalton and Sonny's unwitting involvement in circumstances far more intricate than anyone initially realized. Kevin, being the thoughtful and principled man he is, recognizes the gravity of possessing this information without addressing it directly with Sonny. The psychiatrist understands that secrets left to fester often cause more damage than difficult truths confronted head-on. His decision to approach Sonny represents not just professional responsibility, but also personal integrity. Kevin believes Sonny deserves to know exactly what forces are in motion around him, and how the Dalton situation has evolved into something far more consequential than a simple academic presence in town. The moment of revelation will catch Sonny completely off guard. Picture the coffee mogul's expression shifting from casual attention to sharp focus as Kevin methodically lays out the full scope of what's transpired. Sonny's initial reaction, surprise at discovering Kevin has been brought into this tightly guarded circle of knowledge, will quickly give way to a more calculated assessment of the situation. The fascinating aspect here is that Sonny's respect for Laura and understanding of marital trust will prevent him from directing any anger toward her for confiding in Kevin. After all, Sonny knows better than most how the bonds between spouses sometimes supersede other loyalties, and he would never expect Laura to keep significant secrets from her husband. This conversation promises to set in motion a chain of events that will reverberate throughout Port Charles's power structure. Dangerous sparks and hidden hearts. The romantic landscape of Port Charles is about to become significantly more complicated when Britt Westburn and Cody Bell find themselves in an unexpected moment of intense connection. These two characters share a complicated history filled with unresolved chemistry and unexplored potential, and December brings them together under circumstances that amplify every lingering feeling between them. Alcohol-fueled courage will likely play a starring role as inhibitions lower and suppressed attractions rise to the surface, creating a volatile mixture of desire and poor decision-making. The physical proximity and emotional intensity of their encounter will generate unmistakable sparks, the kind that observers can feel from across the room. But here's where the situation becomes truly messy. Molly Lansing Davis may witness this charged interaction between Britt and Cody, completely unaware that she's about to have her heart broken into pieces. What makes this particularly heartbreaking is the secret both Molly and Cody have been harboring. They've each developed genuine feelings for one another, yet both remain frustratingly silent about their emotions, trapped in that agonizing space between friendship and something more. The irony is almost painful. Molly has been so captivated by Cody that she's even modeled the rugged cowboy hero in her old West-themed romance novel directly on him. Every brooding description, every act of quiet courage, every moment of unexpected tenderness in her fictional creation stems from her observations of Cody Bell. She's been pouring her feelings onto the page because she lacks the courage to speak them aloud. Now imagine her devastation if she walks in on Cody locked in an intimate moment with someone else, particularly someone as striking and confident as Britt. The emotional fallout could drive a permanent wedge between them before either has the chance to confess what they truly feel. Love in the shadow of danger. Lucas Jones and Marco Rios appear to be riding a wave of romantic bliss as they take meaningful steps to solidify their relationship. Lucas's recent decision to move in with Marco represents a significant milestone, symbolizing his readiness to build a shared future with someone he's come to care for deeply. The domestic harmony and growing intimacy between them suggests that even more serious commitments could be on the immediate horizon, perhaps even an engagement that would cement their bond in the eyes of their community and loved ones. However, beneath this surface of romantic happiness lurks a nightmare waiting to emerge. The truth about Marco's family connections represents a ticking time bomb that threatens everything they're building together. Jen Sidwell isn't just some random criminal operating on the fringes of Port Charles society. He's Marco's father, and Marco has been actively assisting him in ways that place Lucas in constant, unrecognized danger. Every moment Lucas spends with Marco, every intimate conversation they share, every plan they make for their future together unfolds while Lucas remains completely oblivious to the threats circling ever closer. Marco's predicament is genuinely tragic in its complexity. He's torn between loyalty to his father and love for Lucas, between family obligations and the desire for an honest relationship. The secrets Marco keeps aren't just minor omissions, they're lies of omission that could cost Lucas his life. The situation will reach a critical point when disturbing revelations surface at Windermere, that Gothic fortress of secrets where so many Port Charles scandals have been exposed throughout the years. Whatever Lucas discovers, there has the potential to not only destroy his relationship with Marco, but also place him in mortal danger. The question isn't whether this truth will emerge, but rather when and whether Lucas will survive the revelation. Michael's alibi disaster. Michael Corinthos is careening toward a devastating disappointment, completely unaware that his world is about to be turned upside down. His growing closeness with Jacinda Bracken has progressed from casual attraction to genuine passion, with Michael beginning to envision a potential future with this woman who seemed to enter his life at precisely the right moment. The chemistry between them feels authentic, the connection deepening with each encounter, and Michael has been allowing himself to hope that perhaps he's finally found someone who understands him. But Jacinda harbors a secret that will demolish everything they've been building together. On the crucial night of Drew Kane's shooting, an event that has Port Charles law enforcement working overtime to piece together timelines and alibis, Jacinda told Michael a lie that he accepted without question. She claimed to be alone after their meeting at the bar that evening, a statement that seemed innocuous enough at the time and provided Michael with what appeared to be a solid alibi. Michael trusted her completely, never imagining she had any reason to deceive him about something so significant. The devastating truth? Jacinda was actually with Ezra Boyle after leaving Michael that night. This fact transforms her statement from a simple untruth into a lie that directly impacts a police investigation and Michael's legal standing. Harrison Chase, ever the dedicated detective, is methodically gathering evidence that will prove Jacinda's deception and systematically dismantle Michael's alibi. When Chase presents his findings, the careful story Michael has been relying on will collapse like a house of cards, leaving him exposed and vulnerable to serious legal consequences. The personal betrayal will cut even deeper than the legal implications. Michael will feel played, manipulated, and used exactly the kind of emotional devastation that leaves lasting scars. When he finally learns the truth about Jacinda's lie, his fury will be volcanic. Every tender moment they shared will be recontaminated in his mind, every sweet word reinterpreted as potential manipulation. Any dreams Jacinda entertained about a genuine future with Michael will be permanently obliterated the moment he realizes she lied about something so fundamental. The fallout will be swift, brutal, and absolutely final. Next, we will learn about the issue of Tracy Quartermain's dangerous secret and how it could completely destroy Brooke Lynn's marriage to Harrison Chase while potentially sending Michael Corinthos straight to Pentonville prison for a crime he may or may not have committed. For months now, Tracy Quartermain has been carrying around a piece of information that could change everything in Port Charles. She's been sitting on a secret so explosive that it has the potential to tear apart families, destroy a marriage, and possibly send an innocent man to prison. On that fateful night, when Drew Cain was shot and left bleeding in his own home, Tracy was there. She arrived at Drew's house at what authorities estimate was approximately 15 to 20 minutes after the shooting occurred, finding him barely clinging to life with a gunshot wound that could have easily proven fatal. Without hesitation, she called the paramedics and likely saved Drew's life with her quick thinking and immediate action. But here's what makes this situation infinitely more complicated and dangerous. Tracy saw someone else there that night. Someone who had every reason to want Drew Cain dead. That someone was Michael Corinthos, and his presence at the scene of the crime raises questions that Tracy has been wrestling with ever since. In those initial days following the shooting, when the investigation was just beginning and everyone in Port Charles was speculating about who could have pulled the trigger, Tracy found herself in an impossible position. She knew that Michael had been at Drew's house, but she didn't know why or for how long. The weight of this knowledge became too heavy to bear alone, so she made a decision that would haunt her for months to come. Tracy confronted Michael privately, choosing a moment when they wouldn't be overheard or interrupted. Her approach was cautious, yet direct, driven by both concern for her family and a desperate need to know the truth. She asked him point blank if he had been the one to shoot Drew Cain, if he had let his anger and resentment toward the man who had an affair with his wife drive him to attempted murder. Michael's denial was immediate and seemingly sincere. He looked Tracy directly in the eyes and insisted that while he had been at Drew's house that night, he absolutely did not shoot him. He claimed he had his own reasons for being there, reasons that had nothing to do with violence or revenge. Tracy, who has always prided herself on her ability to read people and detect lies, studied Michael's face carefully during this conversation. She watched for any telltale signs of deception: a nervous twitch, an inability to maintain eye contact, hesitation in his voice, but found none. Michael appeared genuinely truthful in his denial, and Tracy, despite her initial suspicions and concerns, decided to believe him. She made the conscious choice not to report what she knew to the authorities, reasoning that if Michael wasn't the shooter, there was no point in dragging him into an investigation that could ruin his life and tear apart her family unnecessarily. Since that pivotal conversation, Tracy hasn't brought up the subject again with Michael or anyone else. She's kept this explosive secret locked away, telling herself that she made the right decision in trusting him. The topic has been buried so deep that it seemed like it might stay hidden forever allowing life in Port Charles to move forward without this particular bombshell detonating. But recent events are about to force Tracy's hand and bring this long-buried secret roaring back to the surface in the most devastating way possible. Tracy has been out of town for an extended period, absent from Port Charles, while she dealt with the monumental task of settling Monica Quartermain's estate and assuming ownership of the legendary Quartermain Mansion, a property that holds generations of family history and memories within its walls. However, tragedy has a way of bringing families back together, and a medical emergency is about to cut Tracy's absence short. Her son, Ned Quartermain, has just suffered a massive heart attack that left him fighting for his life on an operating table. The doctors are performing emergency bypass surgery, racing against time to save him before permanent damage can occur to his heart muscle. This life-threatening situation means Tracy will be rushing back to Port Charles immediately, desperate to be by her son's side during this critical time. Her return couldn't come at a more complicated moment, because it coincides perfectly with another major development in the Drew Cain shooting investigation. Alexis Davis, who has been working tirelessly to prove Willow Tate's innocence, has made the strategic decision to accept help from an unexpected source, Harrison Chase. Chase, who happens to be married to Tracy's granddaughter Brooklyn, has his own suspicions about what really happened that night. He's conducting what amounts to an unofficial investigation into the shooting, driven by his unshakable belief that something isn't adding up about the official narrative. Chase is absolutely convinced that Willow is innocent, that she could not have and did not shoot Drew Cain. His conviction goes even deeper than that. He firmly believes that Michael Corinthos is the actual shooter and that Michael is deliberately framing his ex-wife for the crime, using her as a convenient scapegoat while he walks free. The timing of Tracy's return to Port Charles could prove catastrophic for multiple people. If she arrives back in town just as Alexis and Chase are ramping up their efforts to expose Michael's supposedly fake alibi, Tracy might feel an overwhelming moral obligation to reveal what she knows. She might conclude that she can no longer keep silent about seeing Michael at Drew's house that night, especially if she learns that an innocent woman might go to prison for a crime she didn't commit while the real perpetrator remains free. But Tracy won't want this information spreading to the authorities or becoming public knowledge. Instead, she'll likely choose to confide in the one person she trusts most in this situation, her beloved granddaughter Brooklyn. Brooklyn has been caught in an increasingly uncomfortable position regarding Michael and Willow's situation. Just before Ned's heart attack consumed everyone's attention and became the family's primary focus, Brooklyn and Chase were engaged in a heated argument about this exact issue. The disagreement revealed deep fractures in their relationship, fundamental differences in how they view their family loyalties versus justice and truth. Chase laid out his theory with the confidence of a seasoned detective, explaining why he believes Willow is completely innocent and why all the evidence points to Michael as the actual shooter, who is now framing his ex-wife for attempted murder. He walked Brooklyn through his reasoning, showing her the inconsistencies in the timeline, the suspicious elements of Michael's alibi, and the motive Michael had for wanting Drew dead. Brooklyn listened to all of this with growing unease, not because she necessarily disagreed with Chase's detective work, but because of what his investigation meant for them personally. She learned that Chase had been conducting an unauthorized investigation into the shooting, examining evidence and following leads on his own time without official sanction from the Port Charles Police Department. He'd been looking into Michael's whereabouts, questioning witnesses unofficially, and essentially putting his entire career at risk. This revelation left Brooklyn feeling deeply uncomfortable about her husband's willingness to potentially jeopardize everything they'd built together: his career, his reputation, their financial security, all in pursuit of justice for his ex-girlfriend Willow. The fact that Willow was Chase's former romantic partner added an extra layer of complication to the situation, making Brooklyn wonder if Chase's motivation was purely about justice or if lingering feelings were playing a role in his determination to prove Willow's innocence. Despite her concerns and the tension this issue was creating between them, Brooklyn ultimately decided to let it slide. She didn't push back too hard, didn't demand that Chase abandon his investigation, and tried to support him even though every instinct told her this was dangerous territory for their marriage. But everything is about to change dramatically when Tracy returns to town. If Brooklyn finds herself preparing to defend Michael and stand firmly against her husband's theory, Tracy might feel compelled to pull her granddaughter aside and share the truth she's been hiding for months. Tracy would want Brooklyn to understand that Chase's suspicions might be more accurate than anyone in the family wants to admit, that Michael could genuinely be as guilty as Chase believes him to be. Tracy's motivation in revealing this secret to Brooklyn would have nothing to do with wanting to harm Michael or see him prosecuted for attempted murder. In fact, Tracy would be horrified if her information somehow made its way back to the police or the district attorney's office. She would never want to be responsible for sending Michael to Pentonville or tearing apart the Corinthos family. Her intention would simply be to ensure that Brooklyn has all the facts before she makes any decisions about how firmly to support Michael and how strenuously to oppose Chase's investigation. Tracy would want her granddaughter to understand the full picture, to know that there's actual evidence suggesting Chase might be onto something real and substantial. However, this creates an impossible dilemma for Brooklyn. Once Tracy shares this explosive information, Brooklyn will find herself in possession of knowledge that could confirm her husband's theory, but that she cannot possibly share with him. She'll know that Michael was definitely at Drew's house on the night of the shooting, which gives tremendous credibility to Chase's belief that Michael is guilty. This insight will allow Brooklyn to see that Chase could be far more accurate in his assessment than she's been willing to give him credit for, but she won't have any ability to tell Chase what she knows without potentially providing the final piece of evidence needed to send Michael to prison for attempted murder. Brooklyn will be trapped between her loyalty to her family and her commitment to her marriage. If she tells Chase what Tracy saw, she becomes complicit in potentially destroying Michael's life and freedom. The Quartermain and Corinthos families would never forgive her for being the one who provided the information that sent Michael to prison. Her relationships with her cousins, her grandmother, and everyone she's grown up with would be irreparably damaged. But if she keeps this secret from Chase, she's fundamentally betraying the trust and honesty that should form the foundation of their marriage. She'll be lying to her husband by omission, knowing that he's pursuing the truth while she deliberately withholds crucial information that could help him crack the case. This secret could very well become the final straw that breaks Brooklyn and Chase's marriage apart completely. They've already been dealing with tension over Chase's investigation and his willingness to risk his career for his ex-girlfriend. Now add in the fact that Brooklyn will be keeping a massive secret from him, information that directly relates to the case he's obsessed with solving. Chase will sense that something has changed, that Brooklyn is holding something back, and the distance between them will grow wider with each passing day. The irony is devastating. Tracy's attempt to help her granddaughter by giving her the full truth will actually put Brooklyn in a position where she has to choose between her family and her husband, a choice that no one should ever have to make.